What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 20 of the Yard Podcast. I'm your host, Randy.
And I'm your host, Konu.
And we are excited. We're getting into our 20th episode. Can't believe it's already come this quickly. But
it's come by pretty fast, yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. We're happy you guys are here listening. So really quickly, do us a favor. Make sure you guys give us a follow on social at Dodger Yard on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. On our YouTube channel, you can find all the pregame and postgame interviews with Dave Roberts and the players. And then, of course, we just revamped our entire website at DodgerYard.com, and we've opened up multiple discussions for fans in the forums. You don't have to be a writer or contributor. Just make an account and feel free to start posting. Share your thoughts with other Dodger fans, and we'd love to see what you guys have to say. But you can find my personal on Twitter and Instagram at Randy_Radcliffe.
And my Twitter and Instagram is Michael Konu, MYKALKONU.
And we're just about ready to get into this episode. But before we do, as always, we just want to thank everyone who has been listening and leaving reviews. Our rating has actually dipped down to 4 stars. I don't know if you saw that yet, Konu. But
I did not see that.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening and haven't left a review yet, we'd greatly appreciate it. It's only on Apple Podcasts. You can't do it on Spotify. I know nothing about Google Podcasts, so I don't know if it's on there. But Apple Podcasts, if you guys can get on there, we'd appreciate it. But we'll stop talking about ourselves now and get into the stuff that people actually want to hear. We wanted to do things a little bit differently this week in order to make things more fun for kind of you guys instead of just your regular updates that we're seeing everywhere on Twitter and every other Dodger fan blog that does this stuff. So we're going to run through those super quickly and spend most of our time kind of just discussing what's going on with the team, players, getting ready for October, all of that good stuff. So we'd love your thoughts on this episode. And if you've enjoyed it more or less than the prior ones, reach out, let us know. But with that said, let's get into the Dodgers. They are 31-12 on the season. Since our last recording, they went 3-2. They have a 4.5 game lead in the NL West over the Padres. And over the next week, we will see again. Well, we have a game tonight, 2 more against the D-backs, including tonight. They have an off day on Friday before they have a 2-game series against the Houston Astros in LA. And then heading to San Diego for a 3-game series. And speaking of the Astros, I think it's Never 19. I'm totally blanking on the number. But he's on Instagram, and he has posted a great picture of Joe Kelly doing his pouty face it's in Silver Lake. So you guys are going to want to see that. He wanted to make sure he got it done in time before the Astros showed up. And it's pretty great. He did great work. He's done the Turner one that we've seen in LA. So make sure you guys check that out. He's never.
I actually think I saw that on my Explore page.
Yeah, so his @ is Never 1959. So you guys can find him on Twitter or Instagram. But he did it on the Floyd's 99, which is in Silver Lake on Sunset and Parkman. So he does great work. I have no idea if the Astros would take this route to get to the stadium. I kind of doubt it. But with them coming to LA, it's just great that it's going to be there. So make sure you guys check that out. Quick injury updates. We still don't have Justin Turner after being put on the IL with a hamstring strain on August 29th. So it's been more than the required 10 days, but we still don't have an update on when he'll be back. Pedro Baez is scheduled to throw to hitters later today and could be activated this week. Kelly is also scheduled to pitch to hitters today after doing so yesterday on Tuesday. And Robert said his command was very encouraging. So great news all around there. I think it's going to be huge to get Baez and Kelly back in that bullpen. Some of these guys seemed overworked with the starters not going deep into games. But on Thursday, Kershaw continues to break records. We've seen a lot of them coming in the last year now that he's been in the league for quite some time, but he became the 3rd youngest pitcher to reach 2,500 career strikeouts. He was 32 years and 168 days old when that happened. And the only players that were younger than him to accomplish that feat were Nolan Ryan and Walter Johnson. So he's in great company there. And then, as some of you have probably noticed, Jock has not been with the team. On Tuesday, the Dodgers announced that Jock was put on paternity leave and he'll return to the team on Saturday. Josh Sborz was recalled to take his roster spot in the meantime. So congratulations to the Peterson family. I believe Jock had posted his gender reveal back a few months ago and it was a boy. So now they've got their little girl and their little boy. So congratulations to them. So that's it with the updates. That's where we're going to finish this week a little bit quicker than usual. And we are going to get into plenty of things to talk about. First things first, everything we do every week. Hitters and pitchers of the week. So I'm going to have you do this one first. Give me your hitter of the week and then I'll give you my hitter and then we'll swap pitchers.
Okay. So for the second straight week, it's Corey Seager. I think had Betts played another game, it might have been up for debate, because Betts was good in his 4 games. But Seager's just like in his zone. And the funny thing is about Seager is, I think I even brought this up to you, is the fact that he's such a free swinger and he chases out of the zone more than any player, but he's still so good at hitting, which is wild to me. So yeah, Corey Seager for the second straight week.
Well, I really like doing this whole hitter and pitcher of the week because it's like, hey, we get to look. I like looking up the stats, seeing who's doing well, but we keep ending up on the same people.
Players?
Yeah. So since you picked that one, I'm going to go over a little bit really quickly of what he's done. He's over the last week, he's slashing 400, 458, 750 with an OPS of 1208. He has eight hits, 6 RBIs. 2 of those have been home runs. And to give you guys an idea, his percentiles are off the chart right now. He's 98th percentile for exit velocity. His hard hit percentage, 98th percentile. His expected slugging is 100th percentile. Barrel percentage is 98th. So he is just, every time he's putting the bat on the ball, it's flying off there at ridiculous speeds, and he's making great contact. He's hitting the ball hard. This is the Corey Seager I think we all kind of fell in love with back in 2016. So it's great to see him out there getting it done. So I think we will not match up on pitchers this week. So give me your pitcher. Hopefully we don't match up. Otherwise I'm going to be a little upset.
Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of cheated. I know you said from 9/3 to today's date or yesterday's date, but I went a day earlier to 9/2 just to get this player an extra appearance. So sorry about that, but I went with Victor Gonzalez.
No, what the hell?
Did you pick him?
Yes.
Oh.
I thought it was like it was going to be a sleeper pick.
So...
I was like, this is going to be a sleeper pick. There's no way. But anyways, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I thought you were going Gonsolin or Kershaw, so I wanted to go.
No, and I knew you would. I knew you would think I was going Gonsolin and Kershaw, so I chose not. No. I didn't even look up their stats because I was like, I'm not even going to make this easy this week. But it's all good. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, I think he's been really good out of the bullpen. Knock on wood. In his last 3 appearances, he's 4 innings, 0 hits, 0 runs, 6 strikeouts. He's been throwing his slider and getting a lot of strikeouts with it, and he's really been shutting it down. So, yeah, I went Victor Gonzalez. Yeah. And I guess you did as well.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He's been a huge surprise, and he's been great. I don't know if you heard his story about – did you hear his story? Oral and Joe, I think, talked about it, about what happened. And
I usually watch games on mute, so I don't
Oh, that's
hear
true.
stories.
That's right. So he actually had left MLB for, I think it was, he left MLB for a temporary amount of time. That much I know. He went home, back to Mexico. His friends and family pretty much told him, what are you doing? Like, you have this great talent. You need to go back out there and play. And so he came back, basically flew through the Dodger system, because I had never really even heard of him until the end of, I think it was last year, the beginning of this year. My dates are all a little screwed up because this year seems like it's been 500 years. But he basically went home to Mexico, decided he wasn't going to play. Family and friends said, no, you're too good for this. Go back. He flew through the Dodgers minor league system. And now you have him here making his debut on July 31st of this year at 24 years old. And he is just killing it. Like, 13 innings he's pitched, 14 strikeouts, 1.38 ERA. He even has a .3 WAR coming out of the bullpen, which is great. But I don't know how the Dodgers would be able to send him back down. Like, we've talked about this with Kelly and Baez potentially coming back this week. I mean, Kelly's lost the service suspension, so we don't have to worry about that just yet. But I can't see him being removed from the bullpen, nor...
So that's why I was thinking, like, Kolarek maybe.
Yeah, but see, Kolarek just gave up his first run of the season last night. So, like,
that's true too,
he's been on top of it. The one... We'll get into this a little bit more. I don't want to talk about it too much, but someone that's drawing my interest lately would be Caleb Ferguson to maybe get sent back down. But it's only been a few games, so I don't want to totally give up on that idea. But I don't know. I'm loving Victor Gonzalez. He's been great. He's getting it done. He seems to not be fazed by anything when he's in there with runners in scoring position. He shuts it down. So I'm excited. He's also on my fantasy team, so I can't complain about that either.
Oh, you picked him up?
Yeah, I'm in 2 leagues. I'm in one with all the Dodger Yard people, and then I'm in one on my own, and I've got him in both.
Yeah. I was thinking about picking him up, but then I have a rule picking Dodger players, so I decided against it.
Yeah, no, I've picked him up.
Don't want to be the jinx.
Yeah, no, I feel that too. I have my own superstitions almost every single night when we're winning, and I'm not going to talk about them because then that's going to make them even more real.
There was one year I had picked Bellinger. I think it was his second year in.
18.
I mean, it was a decent year, but it wasn't his rookie year, so I was like, oh, I'm the jinx, and then he ends up being MVP the next year. So I was like, not doing this anymore.
Remember when we started doing articles for Dodger Yard and you wanted to do weekly updates and you wouldn't even take Gavin Lux because you were worried you'd jinx him? But yet you took Corey Seager and he's having probably the best season he's ever had. So
that's also, but I feel like Seager might be what's that word I'm looking for? He's like proof, like he's bulletproof for that because
the only
he's just a good hitter regardless.
The only thing that breaks Seager is his own body. So as long as that's working, he's in good shape. But we actually do have to talk about Corey Seager, but not just yet. Something you and I have been talking a lot about because this season is flying by. We have game number 44 tonight. So there's only 17 games left of the season. And the Dodgers have quite a few guys that are going to be free agents. So we've continuously talked about who deserves a contract, who doesn't. And a lot of these free agents are struggling this year. It is a weird year, so you don't want to put too much stock into it and be like, okay, well, they were asked this year, let's not sign them, because it's, like I said, it's a really weird year. But with that said, have you kind of changed your mind on any of them yet? Like, are you feeling any better about guys like Jock, Kike, even Alex Wood? I think it's Turner, Trinan, Jock, Kike, Wood, and Baez. So they have 6 potential free agents. Obviously, I think we all know how we both feel about Justin Turner, but the other guys, the main guys who've kind of been struggling this season, do you think there's any chance they end up with a contract, or do you skip them and work with what they have right now? Or even go after different players in the offseason? We don't need to talk about who those players would be, but what are the thoughts?
So, like you said, I think Turner's obviously a no-brainer, but my only issue is his health, and he's going to be 36 in October or November. I can't remember his birthday, but I think he's going to be 36, so it's pretty old. But obviously, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. He'll get a contract. I would like to see Trinan back because I think he's been good and I think he can be better. But I am not sure he'll be back though, just because he's had a pretty strong year, and I imagine some team's going to throw a lot of money at him, quite more than the Dodgers like paying their relievers, since they're not big on giving the relievers a ton of money, except for Jansen. I know people say Kelly too, but I don't feel like it was that much. It was $8 million a year for Joe Kelly.
Yeah, it wasn't. I'll look it up, but it wasn't. I know a lot of people were not happy with it when it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 3 years, 25.
I don't think it was break the bank kind of money, and I think Trinan's going to get more than what Kelly's getting.
I mean,
as far as the rest of them go, I don't think Wood's coming back. I think at this point we all know how I feel about Kike. uh, I don't know if he'll come back.
You have this
I don't
weird
think
thing
he
for
should.
thinking he's going to end up with the Giants. That
Yeah, I've been saying he's going to end up with the Giants for a year now,
he
just
should go
because
to.
of what's the Giants GM's name? I can't remember his name. Farhan,
Yeah,
because of
Zaidi.
Farhan. So I figured he can play a whole bunch of utility roles. Theoretically, he still can hit lefties. He's always hit lefties well. Don't know why he's not doing it this year. I know it's a weird year, but I figured they'd give him a shot because he can pretty much play everywhere and be a right-handed power bat off the bench against left-handed pitching.
He'd
I'm still
also bring
unsure
some
of Jock
excitement
though.
to
I don't
that
know what to make
team.
of Jock Peterson right now.
Kike, just really quickly on Kike, he'd also bring some excitement to that team because the Giants, oh my God, I don't think there's any team I hate playing more than the Giants just out of pure boredom. Now that
Yeah,
Bumgarner's
they're very
gone,
boring. Yeah.
it's like, what is even the point of playing this team? Like the rivalry will always be there. But when one of the teams is that bad in a rivalry, it's just not as fun anymore. And they don't have any good players outside of Yastrzemski and Solano having a great year. Yastrzemski's good, but outside of Solano having this out of nowhere year, like they're really not fun to watch. I do not enjoy watching the Giants playing the Giants.
They just don't have any personality.
Yeah, and so I think Kike would be huge.
Even Cueto, when he does his little, I don't know what all that stuff is when he pitches. I don't find that entertaining either. I'm just like, can you throw the fucking ball, please?
Yeah, no, Cueto's frustrating just because it takes forever, but it's smart. It works. So he throws people off with that. It seems to
against
at least
the Dodgers, yeah,
Dodgers,
but against everybody else, it doesn't work at all.
But I don't know. Kike will be interesting, but you were on to Jock. We don't have to sit on Kike
Yeah,
for too long.
I just don't know what to make of Jock right now. Like, I actually think it's funny because I think you like quote tweeted it, but someone said Jock Peterson is better than Jock Peter Dad. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that was so. Someone commented on the Dodger Yard post that. So I posted that on Dodger Yard Instagram. That I posted on the Instagram that he was on paternity leave and said congratulations, and someone did the commented on it and did Jock Peterson, but he said Jock Peter Dad over Jock Peterson, and I was dying. I thought that was hilarious.
I thought that was like really funny, and I mean they're not wrong. He has not been good this year, so I really don't know what to make of him right now, and I don't know if the Dodgers will offer him a contract. Maybe they should, just because I don't think Paula can play every day. But at a certain point, is he going to be worth the money he's asking for?
Yeah, because they're paying.
I guess it depends what he's asking for at the same time, though.
I don't think he's going to be that cheap because he got $7.75 million this year, and he was asking for more. That just happened to be what he walked out of with in arbitration. So I don't think he will be considered that expensive for the Dodgers. I just like my thing
what if
is
he's asking for like $14 million? Doesn't that seem excessive for a platoon player? Even though he hits right-handers very well.
Maybe it's hard to tell because I mean, I have such a hard time grading contracts because anyone that's making don't get me wrong, I think these players deserve the money. I'm not complaining. I don't care how much they make. It doesn't bother me. They get how much they should get, however much they are worth. But it's hard for me to value contracts sometimes because it's so much money, and when it's as a Dodger fan, like I just don't really care how much money it is as long as it's not something completely ridiculous like 15 years. Like someone for Mookie Betts, obviously you sign someone like Mookie Betts to 12 years if that means keeping him.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not too concerned about contracts because I don't think they'd give Jock anything super long. I don't think any team would. But if you have him just as a platoon player, he might be worth what he's asking for because last year he had 127 OPS plus. Year before that, 125 OPS plus. Same thing, 2016, 126 OPS plus. Struggled in 2017. I think that was the year he actually got sent down.
Yeah.
So he is pretty damn good, especially against righties, which are a majority of the pitchers in baseball. And he seemed to have stepped up his defense a little bit. I think he saw a flexibility coach. So I don't know there with him as to all the guys. I don't know if there's anyone I really care about keeping. Trinan hasn't been bad.
Besides Turner?
Yeah, besides Turner. Trinan hasn't been bad in any sense of the word. I just don't know with how much depth is going on in that bullpen and struggling to be like, okay, well, who are we really going to send down? Do we send down Kolarek? Do we send down, like, is Trinan really better than Kolarek? I mean, he's obviously better than Santana. He's obvious, but like my issue with him is his command. He's been struggling and walking quite a few guys. That can always be fixed, I feel like. I'm not against Trinan. Trinan and Baez are my maybes, but I'm still thinking on them. Baez, just because I think he's better than what the numbers kind of speak for. I think he's been important to the Dodgers, even though I think at times hard to admit that as a fan. But I think with Baez and Trinan, they're both ones we could see coming back. Jock is a big maybe, but I think Jock's time might be kind of worn here, especially after that whole thing with the Angels and constantly.
Yeah.
I feel like he might want to be somewhere else. And he's clearly a family man, which I respect 100%. He puts his family above baseball, as he should. But part of me wouldn't be surprised to see him try to go to a Bay Area team to get closer to home and be somewhere, or even try to sign with someone like the Angels so he doesn't have to leave where he is now.
Yeah.
I
when Peterson came up in the as a free agent, I figured it would either be like the Angels because it's close to where he is now, or he tried to go to Oakland.
Yeah.
Since it's closer to his hometown.
Yeah. So I could see either of those being done. But I would not be upset if Baez or Trinan came back. I would not mind giving Trinan another chance. I would not mind giving him more opportunities out there. I know you said he's better than Kolarek, and he is, I think, work-wise overall. Kolarek's just been untouchable for the most part this year. So
he has been. I don't know if I.
Well, you never know how anything's gonna last. We talked about it on the phone before we started recording. In a 60-game season, how much can you really gauge on what a player's gonna do? So I wouldn't mind seeing him come back, because I agree. I don't think Wood will come back. I don't think Wood's going to want to come back after thinking he was getting a starting rotation spot and having one.
He didn't deserve it.
No, he didn't. I agree with you, but I have a feeling he's pretty pissed off about that. So I can't imagine him coming back, because he would not have a spot in the rotation. He would be in the bullpen, and quite frankly, I am okay with him not taking up a spot in the bullpen. I
don't like him there either.
Yeah, I don't even know if we see him come October in that spot, but especially with that first series when you only need 3 starters, like what are we going to do with Gonsolin in May? Like maybe they just go to the bullpen just in case.
Yeah.
And you're not going to...
Well, actually, if I'm being honest, it should probably be Buehler, Kershaw, Gonsolin, and then May and Urias in the bullpen.
Yeah, Urias, yeah. Yeah, I like that option more. But, like, you're not going to have Wood pitch over one of those guys, so...
No.
But, anyways, enough on
but
that.
I did have one other quick thing, because you had mentioned Baez. Do you trust him in the playoffs? Because I don't.
I don't know. I am so back and forth on Baez. For, like, a year, I refused to talk shit on him. Then it's all I did because he seemed to be doing well, and it's that weird fan side of things that's like, if I talk shit on him, maybe he'll actually do better.
So what I do with Kike?
Kind of, except for I actually kind of like Baez. It's not like that's the difference here, is I don't adamantly I don't want to say despise, that's a little mean, but like I like Baez, and I think Baez has had his moments. It's just it's hard. playoff baseball is a crapshoot. No matter, you could have the best pitchers in baseball, you could have the best hitters in baseball. It doesn't matter. We've seen the Dodgers have both, and they've still lost. So
you just look at the Giants. They never had the best team, but they won 3 World Series.
Yeah, and I've always been the type of person that will say the best team in baseball isn't always the team who wins the World Series. The Nationals were not the best team in baseball, but they played the best baseball when it mattered most.
Yeah.
Which is important. It takes nothing away from the Nationals. The Astros were not the best team in baseball. Clearly, we know that even more so now in 2017. 2018, the best team in baseball did win. 2016, the best team in baseball did win. But it's so hard because Baez could kill it. Baez could suck. Who knows? I might have to lean a little bit more towards no, but yeah. Anyways, I don't want to. We've been on that for a little bit.
So, but like since we're talking about like free agency, I know he's not a free agent yet, but this free agency coming up, the Dodgers have a lot of questions to answer, and one of them is should they sign or extend Corey Seager? Or are they going to try to extend Corey Seager?
They better. I mean, I know they're not. I know it's not his free agent year. He won't become a free agent till the end of 2021. He'll turn 27 in April of next year. So I know that like an extension isn't necessarily something the Dodgers have to think about this season. But I also wonder like if he comes out in 2021 and just absolutely tears it up, how much is that going to cost? Like, what are the Dodgers going to do? I never want to see a player get screwed out of money. That's my only issue with extensions on guys who are still playing on their rookie contracts, is I never want to see them get screwed out of money just so the team can have them longer. But I think they could work something out with Seager and pay him what he actually deserves and do that before the end of 2021, because in my opinion, I do truly believe when he is healthy, offensively, defensively, I'm not even putting this into the statement, so ignore his defense. Offensively, I think you can argue he's the best hitting shortstop. And we've talked about this. He might not be defensively, but we'll get into that in a minute. But offensively, he's one of the best hitting shortstops. He's our best hitter right now, right up there with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts leads the team in basically every category, but Seager is right there with him. He's not leading the categories, but he's pretty much neck and neck with him. However, Corey Seager is a Boras client, and they don't seem to sign extensions very often. So Boras knows how to get his clients their money. He always seems to be about the money, not even necessarily the player's best, like what the player's concerns. I think Boras will do what the players want, but he's always, to me, seemed like he's been about the money. He wants to break the records as an agent. So I do worry a little bit that might affect them. But if the Dodgers do not offer him what he is worth and allow him to walk, I think it would be a big mistake.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think at the end of the season they should extend him. Now, I get the only issue with Seager is obviously his health, but even so, like, how do you replace his production? Because like even if they get the best version of Lux, it's not going to be better than the best version of Seager. And I know money's going to be kind of weird because of this season, since there's like no fans and they don't know how their financials are going to work. And they did just give Betts that 12-year deal.
But you know what? That makes an
even. Hey, Bellinger and Bueller.
But you made even but with your point there, I think it's even more crucial for them to sign him because the money for the other teams aren't there. The money's there for the Dodgers. No matter if fans don't show up this year or next year, the money's there for the Dodgers. They signed an $8 billion TV deal a few years ago. So the money is there. And if they can outbid these teams now and show him, hey, we have the money now. We like you. We want to keep you. I don't think they can screw that up. Or they shouldn't. Yeah. I hope they don't.
I 100% agree. They should definitely give him what he wants because I think he's more than deserved that. But with Seager, there keeps coming up these Francisco Lindor rumors. It happened during the deadline, and even afterwards, they were saying the Dodgers are still the favorites. Does this move make any sense to you, or would you prefer they target like a third baseman?
Is that really a thing? Because I had no idea that people were still talking about
It's
Lindor.
still a thing,
Okay, see, I didn't know that was a
unfortunately.
thing. I don't know how I feel about this, and it's nothing against Lindor. There's so many moving parts that have to come with this. Are they going to
Yes.
move? Are they going to move Seager to third? He's always said he wants to stay at shortstop. Are we going to piss him off before he hits free agency? Is he going to walk if we say we need you to go to third? I do not want to lose Seager over Lindor. Lindor is incredible. He's a great player, great personality. But I kind of feel like we got that big superstar in Mookie, and they always like Dodger fans have kind of been clamoring for a guy like that, for a high energy, fun, and that's kind of like what Mookie is, the way he plays the game. So I'm focused on building around that in Bellinger and Bueller, and I think Seager is a big part of that because eventually, if they are moving Seager to third, isn't Lux going to take over at shortstop? Or do they keep Lux at second base? Like, I don't know. I know you know more about Lux than I do. Um, I don't know.
See, that's the thing. I don't know why these rumors keep popping up because it doesn't make much sense to me. How do you get Lindor unless you're giving up Lux and others? But then he's a free agent at the same time that Seager is, so you would have to pay him as well.
Like, at that point, why
Um,
not just wait and sign him?
right, but like us as fans don't care about the luxury tax, but they obviously do. So is paying both of them really an option when you still have to pay Bellinger and Bueller as well? Um, or are they just going to pay Lindor? Because then if Seager walks, then basically you're giving up Lux and Seager for Lindor, and that's a hard task for me. Um, I think they should probably just target a third baseman, and then if the DH is here next year for the long run, then move Turner there. But yeah, I just again, like you said, I like Lindor. I think he's very fun. He's a good player, but it's not worth all the moving parts.
Yeah, I think you're at this point with the way things are, I think you might be doing more damage to the team chemistry and the way things are set by bringing someone in like Lindor. If Seager didn't come out and have a great season, I think you could argue a little bit more like, hey, this might be
Right.
worth the move. But seeing that Seager has kind of come back and been the guy that we all argued he was capable of being, um, it's just really hard for me to go, oh yeah, so let's go now and let's go give that to Lindor and kind of give up on our homegrown guy who has been incredible. So I don't think that's happening. I know a lot of people talk about keeping Bellinger, keeping Bueller. Again, I don't think any of that is going to be an issue. The Dodgers have no long-term commitments outside of Mookie as of now. They aren't paying anyone outside of Mookie for
Right.
in I think 2-3 years, and obviously guys like Seager, Bellinger, Bueller, they're all going to cost money, but I don't see much of that becoming an issue. I'm looking at their contracts now, the team contracts, and let's see, 2023, like up in 2023, the only people they currently have under contract are Mookie, Muncy, and Pollock. Come 2023, 48 million they have to 2023 the payroll. I see Kershaw coming back, even if it's just 2 years at a time. I see him coming back, so obviously I think he'll be there 2023 most likely, unless something happens. I also don't see Kershaw, though, coming out and wanting a shit ton of money. I think he's going to do what's best for the team. He's still going to get his money, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's going to be chasing after the money. I think he's one of those guys that's going to do what he can to help the team. But looking at contracts, the only guys they have to pay come then are AJ Pollock, which I think is on his final year that year, or has 1 year left come 2023. Actually, I think that's his final year because it was a 4-year deal with a fifth year
His original
option.
5 years, right?
Yeah, was it 5 years though? Was it 4 years with an option, or was it 5
I think it
years?
might have been four with the option.
Okay. Oh wait, player option in 2023 for Pollock. Okay, and then Muncy's a club option in 2023. So after that, the only guys you have to pay is Cody Bellinger, who will be in his 4th year of arbitration. Bueller will be in his 3rd year. And then, of course, Gavin Lux will just be hitting his first year of arbitration. Same with Will Smith. Urias still in arbitration. So it's like Tony Gonsolin will be in his first year of arbitration that year. So they've still got
they have money,
yeah, there's still a lot of room. So I don't think that should be much of an issue, but again, we'll see what happens. I just don't know how I feel about moving all of those pieces to pick up Lindor when he's not going to actually produce better than Seager, and you risk pissing off Corey Seager.
I agree. And having all those big contracts, having to pay them, you kind of need players who are still on their rookie salaries, like Lux, Gonsolin, May, Smith, Urias, and all of them, because they can fill out a team. They can still help you win, but also you're not breaking the bank for them either. So that's important as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you, we've seen a lot. We've seen those young guys come in, do their thing. I think Lindor is great. I just don't think he's necessarily what the Dodgers need right now. And it's nothing against him. I just think it's the way the Dodgers roster is set. But we did talk about some of these guys actually right now, and we've mentioned Jock and Kike. And there's a couple guys that hopefully are on the verge of a breakout, or maybe, or we're hoping. I have one or two that I think are on the verge of a breakout. But I know you have some strong feelings about some of these guys. So is anyone going to break out soon, or is the team we have now going to be the team we see through October?
The thing is, I didn't really choose a player. I kind of just, I think PK's been hitting the ball harder lately, so that might be signs that he's on the verge of breaking out, even if it's only starting against lefties. I think Jock can really take this offense to new heights if he gets it going, if he gets hot. I mean, it's almost Jocktober, right? So we kind of need that. I think so. May has been good all year long, but I think he can go up another level. And I've said this a billion times. If he just mixes his pitches better, starts throwing his slider or changeup more, I think that would help him in the long run. So, but maybe he just doesn't feel confident in it yet, which is weird. Julio, he just has to find his command. I think he'll be fine. Lux has had a pretty good 4 games. He's walked every game. He's had hit in every game except for the 0 for 4 against the Rockies. But he also had that, was it 11 pitch at bat, 12 pitch at bat walk?
Yeah, I think it was 11.
He extended the game for the best hitter in the lineup. It didn't work out, but he did what he could. And then of course there's like Will Smith, who might be the most tangible to break out because he's consistently been hitting the ball all year long, hitting the ball hard all year long, and I think it's really starting to pay off because in his last 7 games he's hitting close to 350. He's got 3 home runs, 5 walks with OPS of 1.290. So, yeah, the hard hits are starting to pay off, and he might be the most tangible to actually break out.
Mine for me, I was actually writing last night, and it's funny because I was writing it during the game, and I had kind of written up that I was thinking about Lux. Like I was just thinking of breakout players and where we were at and which players I want to see kind of turn things around. And I've been having a really good feeling about Lux, and up until last night, there wasn't really any stats to back this up. Like just his basic numbers looking, but he really showed it last night. He struck out twice, but he reached, he had his 2 home runs in a single, and I was looking at Baseball Savant. He crushed the ball last night. His first home run was at 96.5 miles per hour. His single, 101.9, and his last home run of the game, which was an absolute missile off the bat, was 102.8. So he's hitting the ball hard, which was not the case when he first got called up. So I feel really good about him. His defense is extremely questionable. We know he's battled with the yips in the past. So hopefully he can figure that out, because we know at times that defense can actually be more important than offense. We saw it last night. His error ended up actually making the inning go on a little bit longer than it needed to. But I think Lux is going to start looking like the guy that we expect him to. So that's kind of my breakout candidate. I get what you're saying about May. I think he's been fantastic. I know you said he's been great. I just want more depth out of him. I don't know what we're gonna see from Jock. I don't know why, but I'm hoping maybe when he's back Saturday, we're going to see something from him. Maybe the birth of his son. Who knows? Like, we don't know what's been going on with his wife.
Oh, wait, they announced when he was coming back? I missed it.
Yeah, on Saturday. So the paternity's 3 days is what the league gives players, but he's not coming back until Saturday.
Okay.
So we don't know if anything's been going on with his wife, Kelsey, if she's been having a rough pregnancy, if they didn't know what was happening, and maybe that his head has been elsewhere, which I cannot blame him if that's the case. So now
it seems like it, if we're being honest.
Yeah, he has seemed a little out of it. So now that she's given birth, I will be excited to see how he does out there. You can tell Jock loves being a dad. He takes pride in being a dad. And I think we've seen some players who excel after that. So I think
Trout, Pollock.
Yeah, I think it could be good for him, and I hope it is. I just hope his wife and the baby are safe and healthy, and that he's not taking some extended paternity leave for anything along those lines. But let's get into kind of some of the recent things we've seen. Well, last night. We'll start with last night, which was slightly concerning. I wonder really quickly, we don't need to go into this too deep, but really quickly, Walker Buehler pitching with a damn blister on his finger. I don't know what the hell happened last night, why they even thought pitching him was a good idea. Did you see the picture by chance? Yeah.
No, I didn't. But didn't he pitch with a blister the previous game against the Diamondbacks?
Whenever he had his last start. Yeah, was it against the Diamondbacks? Yeah, if his last start was against the Diamondbacks, then yes, he did. However, I just text you a picture of his finger, so take a look at that. And what you'll see is all that nasty stuff on it. Joe and Oral think that was super glue, which I understand using as a layer to protect the blister. But look at how red the blister is.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, like that's not just like he put a layer over a healing blister. Like that looks like he opened it back up last night, like some Rich Hill kind of shit. So
another audio stint?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. In his post-game interview, which he talked about it, which I was going to say, if you want to see it, you can go to our YouTube channel on Dodger Yard. We have it up there. You see him talk about it, and he just doesn't seem fully confident. All he says the entire time was, we'll find a way to work with it. We'll get past it. But there was no real hey, this is what we're going to do. Robert said he's expected to make his next start, but they said anything could happen. Nothing's on the table. It kind of bothers me that they left this in the hands of Buehler and let him decide whether or not to pitch. He was fantastic. His 2 prior outings, he gave up 1 earned run over those 11 innings pitched, and he did great. So I get hey, you don't want to screw that up, but in my mind, this now puts him back on the IL, or at least missing 1 start when he could have just missed last night. They didn't have to win last night's game. It's not like this was a playoff game where you go out there and risk it. So I don't know what was going on. The general consensus on Twitter seemed like fans were pretty pissed off that he was even allowed to pitch in the first place. So he was pulled after 2 2/3 innings last night. He was great through the first 2 innings. He looked untouchable. They weren't getting hits. And then he just completely fell apart. He kept looking at his finger, so I'm assuming that glue kind of ran its route. Wasn't helping anymore. But it was just not good. That can't be happening with 17 games left of the season. You can't be having guys go out there and play through an injury, especially someone like that who has been our most dominant pitcher in October. You can't just throw him out there and do that. So I don't know. I don't know if you had any thoughts on it, but it's annoying and it's frustrating.
No, I hadn't seen the picture of his finger. You had mentioned that people were saying, why is he pitching? I didn't see that, but when I first saw him start, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he should start. He pitched last week with a blister. If it's fine, if he's good to go. But after seeing that picture, if that's the way it looked during the start, then yeah, that's pretty bad. So they should probably put him on the IL because you're going to need him for October.
Yeah.
That's much more important than the rest of the regular season.
It is. With that said, since we're talking about pitching, something we've seen over these last few games, the bullpen not doing great. They haven't been off. Well, I guess it depends what games you're looking at. But is the bullpen a concern, or was that just a bad series against Colorado and a not so good outing by Jansen last night? Like, what is going on? Are they overworked? Is it because starters aren't going deep enough into games? Like what is going on here? Why?
Okay, so I think people pretty much know my answer. I think it's because they've been overworked because the pitchers don't go too deep into games. There have been some bad innings, but I have seen some bounce back innings from some people, so that's pretty good. But for me, Kenley hasn't looked good to me since the Giants blown save. He almost blew a 4-run lead last night, which that's not great. So thank you, Lux, for hitting that home run. Otherwise, we would have lost that game. Actually, after last night's game, I think he posted from the Dodge Yard account, should he still be the closer?
Yes. Yeah, I tweeted that out because I was curious. I wasn't tweeting it out because I was going to say no myself. I was just genuinely curious to see what the fan base was saying, and there were so many
to get their perspective.
reactions.
Yeah. I really had to. So I didn't think about it at first, but when I saw you post that, I was like, "It's actually a fair question." So before I thought about it myself, I went through the replies just to see what people were saying. I saw a lot of people asking for Gratterall. You guys are funny. Listen, I think he's got a great personality. He's fun. It's just not his time yet. He will be a closer eventually. Now's not that time. So then when I started thinking about it, I ultimately went with he should be removed from his closer spot. And the closer should be Trinan. Now, I know that he's had command issues, but I don't think he's given up the home runs that Jansen has. When he comes in to pitch, I feel more comfortable than when Jansen comes in to pitch. And I know Trinan, again, has command issues, but he gets a lot of ground balls. But now that I think about it, with the way the infield defense is with throwing, it might not be the best of things. But yeah, ultimately, I think he should probably be given the closer role just because he's been there before. He has experience doing that. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I haven't been comfortable watching Janley come in and save the game. He makes me nervous. There was a point in time this year where I felt okay, but now every time he comes in, I just feel uneasy and hope the Dodgers have a 2 or 3-run lead before he comes in.
Yeah, I couldn't really come up with an answer so much about Jansen, even though I was the one who tweeted out. I was so back and forth. I'm almost to the point where I don't know if this is a good idea. It might not be, because you don't want to screw with players. I'm almost to the point, though, where I just don't want to set closer, and it's whoever's going to be the best for that moment in time. Whoever's going to be whoever's going to give us the best matchups, whoever's doing the best right now. Like a
closer by committee?
Yeah, just like if it's Trinan, because Trinan is healthy, he's throwing the ball better than Jansen, then that's who it's going to. If you put Jansen in as a setup guy for 2-3 games and his velocity's up and he's looking good, then you put him in for a close on a night after, like maybe Trinan did. Like, I don't feel comfortable in back-to-back nights when that happens, and it's bound to happen in October because it always does. So I don't know where I'm at with that. But it's going to be interesting, and I've talked about this a few times about where I think those struggles came from. I think a lot of that stemmed from the Astros. He lost a lot of confidence, I think, with 2017, and the Dodgers Houston's actually coming to LA this weekend. So I would like to see Jansen pitch against the Astros again this weekend in LA, see how he does. I feel like he started off the season really well. They didn't see too many great teams at the beginning of the season. We saw a lot of the Giants. Towards the end of the season, you and I have talked about this. We're going to see better competition with the A's, the Astros again.
The Diamondbacks aren't great either, if we're being honest.
Who?
The Diamondbacks aren't good.
No.
Just gave
yeah.
runs.
Well, no, they're awful. They have like 15 wins. But I would like to see how he's going to do against good teams. He almost blew that save against the Padres, but Taylor saved him with that play at home. Those are all good teams coming up. The Astros coming up this weekend, Padres coming up next week, so I think it'll be a testament. But I'm excited for the Astros series. I want to touch on that really quickly. I was a little bit worried about facing them because they all of a sudden turned it around. However, they have not been good in their last 10 games. They've gone 3-7. They were on a 6-game losing streak before picking up a win in the second game of their doubleheader last night against the A's. They're 4.5 games out of first place, and they only have a 2.5 game lead over the Mariners for second place. So
the Mariners?
Yeah, the Mariners went on a 6-game winning streak while the Astros were on a 6-game losing streak. They lost last night, though. Astros won. Mariners lost. But I think that's going to be a fun series, especially with the bad blood from what happened last time. I'm super bummed Kelly isn't going to play no matter what.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
No matter what happens, he will not be back because he has to serve that suspension. So even if they activate him today, he will not play against the Astros. So I am...
Do you have any idea who starts those games for the Dodgers?
No, it's not up there yet. I actually looked before we started recording, but it's...
I was trying to play it through my head. Is it like May, maybe?
Well, let's see. Kershaw starts tonight, and Buehler got last night. So you've got... Yeah, I think...
May, Gonsolin, May, Urias. I can't remember the order.
It might be. I'm bummed we don't get Kershaw. I wanted Kershaw against them. May... Okay, so it looks like Gonsolin should be pitching Saturday because May gets the start on Thursday. So I think it'll be Gonsolin and Urias because neither of them have pitched this week. Urias pitched on Sunday and Gonsolin has not pitched this week. So I'm thinking it's going to be Gonsolin on Saturday and Urias on Sunday.
Oh boy!
Yeah,
all right.
So I like the test for Gonsolin. Urias makes me a little nervous the way he's been throwing the ball, but
yeah, the old boy was for Sunday's game. Yeah.
Yeah, but Well,
after Gonsolin, I think we brought this up before, but after Gonsolin had that game against the Yankees, I don't really worry about him too much anymore.
No, I'm not either. I don't. That one game, what was it in Texas, was like, I think he got pulled early because his command was off.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, other than that, I'm not concerned about him. So, not worried about that.
So you had mentioned earlier that the Astros had a doubleheader against the A's, right?
Yes, last night.
Okay. So doubleheaders are obviously 7 innings this year. So with that being said, do you like 7-inning games or do you prefer 9-inning games?
All right. I'm a little upset you asked me this on the podcast because I have to admit it on the podcast now for other fans to hear me say this. But I really enjoyed when the Dodgers had the doubleheader and it was 7 innings. It was great that the game was like 2 hours on the dot. It felt like we had so much more time left in our night, like to get work done, everything done. I liked them a lot. 2 hour, like I said, 2 hour games, great. But what's hard for me and the reason why I can't necessarily go to yes, like I prefer 7-inning games is because I've always considered myself a traditionalist when it comes to baseball, and I've had to loosen up on that a lot this year as is with the new rules. I've had to, like, I did not like bat flips years ago. Like, everything about me as a fan was all traditional, like from top to bottom, and I've adjusted with the game, and I'm glad I have because I enjoy it more. But I just feel like, and Oral kind of made a good point too, like with doubleheaders it makes sense, but like as a fan, do you kind of feel like you're missing out on 2 more innings of action? Or in that case, 2 more innings of action because your team is now playing. Like, then you have to put records into perspective. You have to do all this other stuff. Like, I kind of like my 9-inning games. We're used to saying it. Bottom of the 9th, 7th inning stretch. Like, it's just, I don't know. I will say, though, last night's game is one of those times where I'm like, holy hell, a 7-inning game would have been fantastic, because that game just took way too damn long last night. Like, that was not even fun. That game took, I think it was like, 4 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
You didn't enjoy it?
No, not at all. It was miserable. I don't like baseball.
I
hate ugly baseball. That was ugly baseball. I enjoyed like when
Lux. I think the bullpen did well last night.
They did.
Jansen.
Yeah. Kolarek and Jansen were the only ones who gave up runs, and they went 7 1/3 innings. It's when this team is as good as they have been, especially over the years, I will admit I've become incredibly spoiled that games like that have become a huge turnoff for me, that it's just like, God, you guys are playing awful. Can we just end this game? Like, just get the win. Let's finish it. It's being dragged out way too long. Had it been a 4-hour game and they didn't leave 15 men on base, I wouldn't have been as annoyed by it. But to have that many runners,
I feel like they always leave a lot of men on base. That's just who they are.
They do, but to have first and second almost every single inning and not drive home a run makes it a tougher game to watch.
And they still score 10 runs. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I don't want to sound like I'm just bitching to bitch. It was a long game. And I think it's just a combination of 2020. Like, it's one of those things that it's hard to have certain feelings about games, because baseball in a time like this is such a huge escape, but it feels so minimal compared to everything else going on in the world. Yeah. So it just kind of feels like, all right, this is my 3 hours. It's been great, but this has not been a good game. Like, can we kind of just end it? So I don't know. I told you maybe 8-inning games I could settle on because it's in the middle. But I just don't think I could do it permanently. Not 7 innings. Not yet. I don't know.
Yeah, so I said the same thing. I think for everyday games, it should be 9 innings. But if there needs to be make-up games for doubleheaders, I'm more than okay with it being 7 innings going forward. That being the new rule.
I agree with you there. That much I do. Doubleheaders, it's an injury thing too, and it's also just such a long day. I liked what Oral said. I know you don't listen, but like I had mentioned, he talked about fans losing out on games, and he said, well, what happens if you come to a doubleheader and you see your team play 7 innings? Like, is a fan going to be pissed off and be like, hey, where are my 2 extra innings? I like the idea of you buy a ticket and you have access to both games. Make it a little bit more expensive than a 1-game ticket. It's up to the person. Like, you can only scan it in the one time. Once you're in there, that's your ticket. You can stay for the whole game or you can leave. It's up to you. But I'm all for it for doubleheaders. I think it's good for the players. I do not like that it is considered a complete game, though. If a pitcher pitches 7 innings, that bothers me.
Okay.
I think record-wise, you can't do that. Like, you're going to put that this pitcher had 5 complete games because he pitched in 5 doubleheaders. Like, I don't know. That part bugs me a little bit. Like, getting to the 7th inning was something almost every starting pitcher did a few years ago, and getting to the 9th inning has always been difficult, and so I just don't want to discount those 2
So as long as they didn't classify it as a complete game, you'd be okay? Like, if they just said, oh, he went 7 innings and gave up 2 runs, you'd be okay with that?
Yeah, or give me like a doubleheader complete game. Something else. Just don't add it to the stat where there's pitchers who actually had to throw 2 more innings to get that complete game. Because 2 more innings that late in the game can be a lot of pitches. And so I just don't think, there's certain things that bug me about 2020. Like, I don't want to see any records like broken over this. Like, if a player hits 400, like, there's just a few things that with this season, I hope that records aren't broken, because I don't want to see them changed in the record books for a 60-game season.
Yeah, fair enough. I get that.
But now for a little bit more of a fun question as we finish this up. And this is like my thing, because I do it every single game because food is so expensive. But what is your favorite ballpark food or your go-to food at games? Like, if you were able to bring a food, because Dodger Stadium, I know some fans don't know this, but you can bring your own food into Dodger Stadium. Does not matter what it is. Just do not bring it in glass. You can bring any type of drink you want. Again, don't bring it in glass. Don't bring a can. And obviously it can't be alcohol and it cannot be opened, but you can bring in like any type of drink as long as it's in a bottle, hasn't been opened. Same thing with food. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that, because that stuff is expensive at the stadium, and in my opinion, does not taste that good. So bring your own food. Anyways, what's your go-to?
Well, first, I didn't know that you can bring your own food in there.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've gone. I mean, obviously not as much as you have, but I feel like I've gone quite a bit and had no idea that you could bring your own food into the stadium.
Yeah, I don't think they tell people that much because it's their money, but yeah, you can. Basically, I've seen people take in like pizza boxes, Krispy Kreme donuts. Like I've brought in Chipotle. I've brought in almost anything you could think of.
Well, now that I know that, next time I go, I'll be bringing my own food.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I really don't eat much at games. Like I have this issue where when I'm having fun, I forget to eat. But when I do eat at games, it's me and Mom's go-to. We always go get the carne asada nachos in the big helmets with everything on it. My mom and I usually sit in the dugout club on the visitor side. And in the dugout club, they obviously have the all-you-can-eat food inside of there, but we don't eat that. We'll leave, go get the nachos, and then come back.
Damn, do you really?
So, yeah, it's definitely the nachos.
Y'all don't eat that fancy-ass food?
That shit's trash.
Oh. It's like, it's weird baseball food. Like, I'll have a plate of it before the game starts, but then, like, I'm eating shit during the rest of the game because, like, it's not food that you can really eat during a game, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't like it. The lemonade they have in there is pretty good, though.
So I went a little bit different direction because I know you can bring food in. So my go-to is Philippe's and their French dip sandwich. And it actually made me a little sad thinking about this because it's so good, and I love taking that to the stadium. But I get their beef sandwich. I get the dip on the side because you don't want it to get soggy. Also, a little tip, if you bring that, take a little Ziploc baggie with you because the dip does spill if it tips over. And if you're like me, you throw all your shit in a backpack and then it leaks everywhere. So bring a Ziploc bag, put your dip in there. And then I get their pickle. I order some pickles on the side, and they have these pickled hard-boiled eggs, which are amazing. I don't know if you've ever had one. People always look at me like I'm weird when I show it to them. It's a purple egg. I don't think they're not always purple, but like theirs is purple because it's soaking in vinegar forever, and a couple other stuff. But I love taking that to the stadium. It's like $12. It's a whole meal. It's so easy to eat because I'm like you. I don't like to eat during games because I like to be ready for anything at all times, and I don't like to jump up and have food on my lap, or now that I'm working at games most of the time, I don't want my hands to be all like with food. So Philippe's, that's the best meal. Have you ever had it?
I have not had it, no.
See, I've heard a few people you're originally from LA, correct?
Correct.
You're just not there now. Okay. I've heard quite a few people who are from LA that have never been there, and it always blows my mind, but I guess it's one of those things that I think is big in LA, but I think it's also one of those things that, like, if you've been there forever, you probably just look right over it. But I highly suggest you give that a try.
Probably look right over because I've looked over a lot of things.
Yeah, I highly suggest you give that a try. Even if you don't go to take it into a game, if you go there before the game, it's packed with Dodger fans. They're huge Dodger supporters.
Just sandwiches?
Yeah, no, they have other stuff too. Like it's okay. Yeah, they've got a pretty big menu. They've got all different stuff. It's great. It's like an old school little kind of, you walk up to the very front and they have a display and they've got the women working behind you, tell them what they want and they grab it all right there in front of you. Like it's all old school. It's so
as long
good.
as it's better than Subway. That's all
yeah,
Subway's ass.
I don't eat Subway, so yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. It's good food. I love it. Like I said, they're huge Dodger supporters. If you go in there there's like maybe 6 or 7 lines, and if you go in there before a game, every single line is filled to the back of the restaurant. Like it's insane. Justin Turner and Kike actually worked there one day behind the counters when they were doing something for Adidas. So, it's literally basically across the street from Union Station, like 2 blocks away from Union Station. So
yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, I love their food. That's why I can't stop talking about it. Me and my friends usually always go there before games. But now that we're at the end, wanted to do something a little different. Prediction for the next week. So we have 2 more games just prediction until we get to the next podcast episode. So Wednesday. We have 2 more against the Diamondbacks, off day on Friday. 2 against the Astros, and then 2 against San Diego before we read before we record our next episode. So what is the Dodgers record over those next 6 games?
3-3, possible 2-4. They're in a bit of a funk, especially the pitching. The offense has been fine despite them leaving so many people on base. It's going to be a tough week of games. I know you said the Astros were struggling, but for some reason, I just feel like the Astros can probably turn on it at any moment. And the Padres are obviously a good team now. The Diamondbacks, I feel like we should have beaten them pretty easily, especially since they traded some good players. But last night showed that, they can score as well. Thanks, Jansen. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'll say 3-3.
Okay, I went a little bit more. I don't want to say you're being negative. I get where you're coming from, but I went more on the positive side of things. I actually think we sweep the Diamondbacks just because I looked at who's on the mound. I feel confident with Kershaw tonight. I feel confident with May tomorrow. And then I think we take 1 from the Astros and 1 from San Diego. So I think we could finish 4-2. I could absolutely see 3-3. If we go 2-4, I'm going to be very upset because these teams are good, but these are teams that are potential, like Astros and San Diego are potential playoff teams, so we need to play them well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. We got Kershaw on the mound tonight. It's game 44. Yeah, game 44 of the season.
Did you say pitches tomorrow?
May.
Okay.
So Kershaw tonight. May tomorrow is actually against Bumgarner. So we finally get to see Bumgarner, thank God. He's awful this year. I think he's got like a 7 ERA. So that
Bumgarner pitches tomorrow?
Yeah. And the Dodgers always hit him so well. And I
love Bumgarner's daddy gonna be in the lineup then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll get Muncy in there for sure. He needs to hit one into the pool so we can tell him to go get it out of the pool. But he's 0-4 with an 8.44 ERA, and they signed him. A bunch of dummies. But
I haven't really been keeping up with, but that he's 0-4 with an 8 ERA.
Yeah, well, I don't keep up either, but I check the stats quite a bit, and he's right up there leading those pitching stats for most home runs given up. So.
But see, it's always those terrible pitchers that end up shutting the Dodgers down somehow.
Yeah, but they've always had success.
And he's left-handed.
Success against him, so I felt confident just because they've always done well against him for the most part. So I'm thinking we'll see Kike and Muncy in there. They both like to hit.
Besides Kike, I don't know if I'm really confident in their ability to hit him.
Kike could use this. Which is sad. Kike could use this. He could use a good game against Bumgarner to hopefully turn things around. But with that said, that is all we have this week. So thank you guys again for listening. Can't explain to you how cool it is knowing that every single week there's people who are interested in hearing what we have to talk about. So please don't forget to leave a rating and review. And of course, we would appreciate the 5 stars reviews. So if you guys want to hit us with those 5 stars, please go do that. But more importantly, reach out to either of us if there's any feedbacks or suggestions for the show, because at the end of the day, it's important that you guys enjoy it. We're not here just to listen to ourselves talk, even though it may seem like it from time to time with me. I promise that's not the thing. But let us know.
And we're still learning. So
Yeah, this is 2020 was supposed to be like we're going to get this going, and then COVID happened, so they really only gave us 60 games to work with. But we want to bring you guys something fun. That's why we tried to change it up a little bit. So let us know. You can find us on Dodger Yard on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and you can find my personal at Randy_Radcliffe.
And you can find my personal at Michael Konu, MykalKonu.
And we will catch you guys next week. So as always, I hope you guys have a great morning, day, night, whenever you listen to this weekend. And let's go out there and get that win tonight and feel good heading into this weekend series against the Astros. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.